Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How are you?
I'm well. I just remembered I didn't send you the map.
Did you understand what I was trying to get to? I
You
didn't
know
know how to
what?
word it.
Okay, so let me go back. Why don't you tell me?
Okay, you gave us the map. And it
Yep.
kind of looked like this before, the section.
Actually, I can't see you're not on camera. Not that it really, matters right now, but I wasn't sure if you knew.
No, I wonder why. Let's do this.
Hmm.
I can see me now.
I can see you now too. Hello.
And I'm trying to map the sidewalks. I'm having such a hard time,
Got it.
So if it's digital on mine, I can blow it up and do each neighborhood individually.
Yeah. What are you doing that for? For the
Well,
master plan?
if you remember, probably 6 months ago, we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
You had made the mention that there's sometimes state funds,
Yeah. Yep. The
And when I went on my health kick, a year ago, I run a lot now, and you come around these corners, there's no sidewalks.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, we can
If you got it, cool. If not, I'll figure out a way.
yeah, what I'm thinking would be a kind, not a weakness, but sort of something that was clunky is in those 8 areas, we only put the main roads. So you wouldn't be able to, I mean, you could jot down streets or something.
Yeah.
We
Some
also,
of the main roads don't have them.
right. No, I hear what you're saying. We also have like a base map of the city that is very large. To see any detail, you have to print it like 36 by 48. But
if I can break out neighborhoods, see, I can do it like 11 and 17 at work. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think 11 and 17 for them sections would be plenty big enough.
Yes, they would be. So Danielle, will ask Danielle. I'll forward it to her right now.
So was Doug's decision to move, was it all of a sudden, or?
I think so. I think I think that he, must have been thinking about it, for a while. It was somewhat of a surprise, but both of his girls are in college now. He dropped his youngest off in Boston. His mom is in North Carolina, and the job he got is right on the border of North Carolina. So he's like an hour away from his mom.
When I was in the Marine Corps, I lived in North Carolina, and it's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, see, I think he just kind of wanted to get.
I could go down there so fast.
Yeah.
But grandkids stop it.
Yeah, see, it seems to always, hi, Don.
Hello there, kids. How are we?
Hello, Don.
Barrier, but.
Thank both you guys for your contributions to the whole sponsors.
Oh, no problem.
You're so welcome. How did it go?
It was a beautiful day. We had like 75 golfers, which was pretty good.
Yeah, that's great.
I couldn't be there because we had a wedding. My stepson got married, so I was there in the morning, got the signs out, and then had to go wedding. Right. It was a total success.
Oh my gosh. both events.
So it was a very long day.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's why I'm still drinking coffee.
You'll be up all
your
night.
Coffee done.
Oh, I think as soon as this is over, I will be out. This is to get me through here.
Congratulations on the wedding.
Well, thank you. It was beautiful. And the only thing they were worried about was the weather, because it got kind of chilly because it was outside, and they had the heaters, those regular outside heaters, and it made it so that it was too hot. It was a beautiful night. I would have never guessed it worked that well, but it was awesome.
That's great.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, John.
Hello, Kathy. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Doing good.
Good. Did you get your reappointment request in, John?
No, not yet.
Don't forget.
It's still September. I plan on probably sending it before the end of the month.
Okay.
When do they do the reappointments? Is it December?
January 1st. I'm no longer part of the fund.
Okay. Got it.
So City Council, I don't know, if they'll be meeting in December or not, so I want to get it in.
Right. Well, now they have 2 meetings a month, which I think they will just sort of initiate the second one if it's needed, but it just seems like there's a lot going on lately. So.
Well, after this packet that, by the way, you did an excellent job on.
Thanks.
Sounds like we got a lot going on too.
Yeah, it's a lot of words, but this is, how the sausage is made, I guess, is an analogy.
So John, you're talking about reinstating here, because I think my term would be up in December too, if I recall.
Yeah.
So we have to redo something?
You got to send a letter to the city council just asking for reappointment.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Kathy would just hit the hammer and say you guys are in.
I will. If they don't reappoint you, that's it. I'll get the hammer.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
You got the hammer home now, or is it still at City Hall?
That's right.
I think.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I have to do that. I'll have to get a hold of Kelly. She'll tell me what I need to do.
Yeah. In my cubicle at City Hall, there's the roster also has dates, so I can make sure that everyone whose terms are expiring.
I think I have it in my
okay
folder.
I think it's on the website too. I can go to the website.
Oh, yeah, great.
I think Don and I started right at the same time.
I do believe that's true.
In 17? 16?
No, it's only 2 years, so it must have been, I don't know when it was. Days just kind of blur together, you know?
It seems like it's been longer than 2 years, so.
No, it's been at least since 2017. I seem to recall that you were new-ish when I started. My first meeting was May of 2017.
Because I was in when Patrick Maher was still in.
Okay, yeah. So
that would be a little bit before you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got every minute since the meeting started, so.
Stop looking like you're so organized, man. You're embarrassing me.
I'm worried about that thing biting you in the head that's next to you.
That's true. It also kind of looks like there's a dinosaur in the background.
Yeah, it does. I'm not pulling it up on the website quickly. I know it's on there.
So our first meeting, Don, was April of 2017.
Okay, so my first meeting was your second meeting.
Cool. My God, time flies, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we got Don, we got Frank Farina, and John Kyle. We got 3 of you coming up at the end of the year.
Has Frank said anything? Is he going to stay?
I don't know, but I'll remind him.
I think he will.
I think he will too. Yeah.
I think we got a really good team.
I do too.
I honestly thought you did the vote thing again. Like, if you want to stay, everybody will yay, nay. But if we have to do a paper.
It just only be like 3 pages.
Hey, send me yours, John, so I can copy it so I could send it.
You could send a
I'll
group
just make
letter.
2. I'll make 2. 1 for me, 1 for you. You get a pretty good turnout at your beanbag there, don't you?
Yeah, there's about 45 people here.
I went running by it the other day on one of my runs, and it was like they're parked on the street. They're parked down the side street. A lot of people.
Why didn't you stop in?
I was in the middle of a run. I only got a couple more weeks left to the big one, so.
Is that the free press?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Congratulations.
Be my first one. It's my daughter's fault. She started it.
Oh, too cool.
Yeah. I'm only doing the half.
Only the half.
Do 10%. That's so incredible.
It gets addicting. It's just.
I get the sense that I huff and puff more than people no matter what. I don't know if I have asthma and it's just diagnosed.
I think I might just be getting used to it.
I know. I mean, I was working out for 7 months doing walking and running intervals. And it didn't seem like I kind of was getting, I couldn't feel a really major difference in terms of like my breathing and kind of cardio. I don't know. It was interesting.
I don't run 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, some days I do, but most of the time, no.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I walk, it's pretty fast.
I read an article yesterday that said that they actually think that even 15 minutes of running has extremely measurable positive health impacts. Like people who run 15 minutes 4 times a week or something. Like it's just that good for you.
How does your knees and your legs feel, John?
Well, I'd be buying more braces than I used to. I had these knee braces on, and they were like okay. And somebody told me about the copper sleeves. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Yeah.
And I bought the copper sleeves, and they're absolutely amazing. Amazing.
Cool.
And it's more like putting a sock over your knee instead of the big pad,
Mm-hmm.
And they work great.
Is there like copper inside? It's like a compression sleeve,
Yeah, it's
sort
compression thing, right? Yeah, it's supposedly there's copper, and you can't see it, but
but you can feel it.
yeah, it makes a big difference. Big
Cool. Well, you should feel really proud of yourself for making that health habit so good for you.
Yes. Touche to you. That's awesome.
I don't know, once the big one's done, what I'll do, if I'll keep going, or I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Why not?
So did you shoot that wild boar down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where did
I
you
don't know what
find
else. Can you see there's a bear back there?
Yeah.
Rams.
a
There's all sorts of
dinosaur?
It is a dinosaur?
No, just like I think the ram. It looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex a little
It does.
bit with its mouth open.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. It's just my little animals.
Where did you find a wild boar?
It was in Michigan. They have like ranches that you can go to, and it's just you just hunt on whatever, like 1,000 acres, and you try to go find them.
Cool.
So it was very entertaining to say the least.
Where is it, in like mid-Michigan or further north?
It was in the Thumb area.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Somewhere in the Thumb.
Yeah.
Because it's got like the Rooster Ranch where people go pheasant hunting.
Okay.
And then there's another ranch that's just strictly the wild boars. So I think we did like 3 of them that, like in a 4-day span or something. Just had fun. Back when you're young and silly.
Okay, Illicit Albright is here in the waiting room. I just started getting nervous that there were people hanging out that I didn't notice, but not yet. Okay, Danielle is here.
And before we get started, thank you, Kathy, for your contribution to the Tour de Fraser.
You're welcome. How did it turn out?
It was actually wonderful. We had 45 people.
Oh my.
7 stops. And the first one was really good because it was a Dairy Maid. And Mickey, the owner, let everybody go through the drive-thru, and she gave everybody free cones.
That was nice.
So it was kind of cool. It was a perfect way to start the day.
Wow, good. I'm glad it was a good turnout.
It was a really good turnout. And did you get your shirt?
I did not yet.
Okay, Julie has it then.
I know she does. I mean,
Okay.
I assume she said she would save it, so no problem. No
Yeah,
rush.
so I'll get it to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Alyssa.
Hello, how are you, Kathy?
Good, thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Danielle.
Okay, there I am.
Quorum at least.
Hi, Joanne.
Hello.
Hi. Wouldn't it be nice when we can finally get together instead of the Zoom?
I agree. I agree.
I think it's still going to be a few months. Not that I have any inside information, but. Hi, Mr. Bill. I'm Kathy. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Good.
Hello,
thank you.
everyone. Good evening.
Hello.
Hi, Paul.
Right there. Let me get my-
Alyssa, is Clark joining or is this the meeting you're covering for him? I couldn't remember.
Clark should be joining. He did not.
Okay. Oh, yep. I see him right here. Sorry. He
About
was in.
covering. So,
Yep,
no
got it.
worries.
Does Paul work with you?
Oh, yeah. I should have recirculated the introduction letter. Paul will be training in for the rest of, the year with me and is kind of Doug's replacement. So, yes, he's our coworker.
Nice to meet you, Paul. I'm John.
Nice to meet you, John. Thanks. Glad
Hi,
to be here.
Paul, I'm Clark Andrews. I'm one of the city attorneys. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Clark.
I look forward to working with you.
Likewise.
I have loved working with your teammates.
The
Sarah's
feeling's
awesome.
mutual.
So
I just realized my name says IT, but I don't want to change it in case it messes it up for the next person to come in. So, Chair Zarnecki, whenever you're ready to start, I can start sharing my screen, and I will make sure that I'm monitoring if there are people in the waiting room.
Okay. Do you think maybe we can wait a few more minutes?
Oh,
Mr.
definitely.
Mr. Perry, maybe, hopefully.
Yes.
Excuse me, Clark, it's not the same meeting with you having that background and not to the city hall.
Yeah.
hold on. I gotta see whether I can change that.
Uh-oh.
How did I do that?
Gives us a sense of normalcy.
Switch. Okay, hold on a minute. Virtual background. Okay, let's see. Fraser.
There
I
we
got
go.
it.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Hey, there you go.
Beautiful day
Well,
again.
you know, I have to tell you a short story that's embarrassing, but I'll tell it anyway. I got an award from the State Bar of Michigan for being an unsung hero, which is a lawyer that gives a lot of his time to, charitable things and other things like that. But anyway, they had a virtual presentation on Tuesday of this week, Monday of this week, I guess. And they went through a dry run of it on last week. It kind of gave you the idea of what you're supposed to do. Anyway, I was pretty nervous about it because it was potentially a state-wide thing on the State Bar YouTube channel or whatever. And I thought I did a great job of saying what I wanted to say. And then when I'm all done, I realized I never started the video part of it. So they got all the audio of it, but not a single second of the audio of the video of it. And I said, maybe I'm not cut out to be doing Zoom meetings or something, but I felt pretty silly.
They're getting close to being the norm now. Get so many of them.
Yeah, they are. I did feel a little better, and I don't know whether this was because my daughter was just trying not to make me feel bad about it, but she said that she had 8 Zoom meetings that day, and she said that she thought that I was more proficient than 85% of the people that had participated during the day. So I thought, well, maybe I'm not quite as dumb as I thought I was, but
That made you feel better, I'm sure, Clark.
it did.
Yes.
And I realized it was probably a biased sampling and all that, but at that point I was happy to know it anyway.
Okay, Mr. Andrews, do we have another representative from your company, Island
I
Church?
I think maybe Alyssa Albright might be joining us.
Alyssa's here. I got a Dylan or Dylan. I'm not sure. Church?
Oh yeah, Dylan is the newest member of our team. He's waiting for his bar results, and we invited him to observe as well. So his name is Dylan Church, and I'm happy to have him join us as well.
Thank you. Okay, it's 7:03. Ms. Traxler, let's call the meeting to order.
Okay. I will share my screen. Okay, is that working?
No, there we go. Yes.
Okay.
Would you please conduct roll call?
Yes. Member Zarnecki.
Here.
Member Kyle.
Here.
Member Cook.
Here.
Member Barr.
Here.
Okay, and I think that is all of the membership.
Okay, so we have member Commissioners Farina, Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
not present, and we do have Commissioner Warnick who has an excused absence. He's at a conference this evening.
That's right.
Okay, so now that the meeting is called to order, can we all say the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
To the
To the
flag
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for
Which
which
is
it stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty
with
and justice.
liberty and justice for all. Okay.
I'd like to state the following. In accordance with the Governor Whitmer's Executive Order 2020-15, which allows for the electronic meetings of public bodies, notice is hereby given that the City of Fraser Planning Commission is meeting electronically this evening on Monday, September 21, 2020 at 7 p.m. using Zoom for video conference and public access. The electronic public meeting will be held as a Zoom electronic conference. The public can participate via the Zoom application, internet, and/or telephone. The public will be able to listen to all discussion by Planning Commission members and will be permitted to speak for up to 5 minutes during the public participation section of the agenda. Please note that callers, viewers will automatically be muted. Public comments can be submitted no later than 4:30 p.m. the day of the meeting by the city clerk at kellyd.micityoffraser.com. You may also email comments during the meeting to publicmeeting@micityoffraser.com. The email must provide the following: your name, address, and email address, and the agenda item to which you would like to speak. Public comments will be heard during the public hearing, although we have none scheduled this evening, and other comments will be heard during public participation. The City of Fraser provides live public access to this meeting on Comcast 5 and WOW Channel 10 and online www.ci.fraser.mi.us. This live public access meets the Open Meeting Act's requirements that all public body deliberations and decisions take place at a meeting open to the public. City of Fraser and the Planning Commission thanks everyone for their understanding and support as we attempt to navigate these challenging times together. Okay, we will go to agenda item number 3. Approval of the agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented unless there are any revisions to the agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda as is for a meeting of September 21st, 2020.
Do I have support for that motion?
Support.
Support by, okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Kyle, support by Commissioner Barr to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? If not, can you do roll call, please, Ms. Traxler?
Commissioner Kyle,
Yes.
Commissioner Barr,
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki,
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 4, I will read my opening remarks. Tonight's meeting will follow the agenda that was posted online. It is important to let everyone know that the Planning Commission is created by state law. The commission is comprised of 7 members, all of whom have volunteered to serve. Members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by city council. The role of the Planning Commission is to plan and promote the efficient, coordinated development of the city for the health, safety, and general welfare of its residents. We are not here to negotiate with applicants or allow everything an applicant is requesting. However, the Planning Commission does have the power to approve certain requests and recommend others, depending on the nature of the request and whether all of the standards in the zoning ordinance have been met. The Planning Commission may also impose conditions on a proposed project in order to ensure that those standards are met. Other individuals here this evening with us are representatives from the City Attorney's Office, Mr. Clark Andrews, Ms. Alyssa Albright, and Mr. Dylan Church, and representatives of McKenna and Associates, Ms. Sarah Traxler, Ms. Danielle Bouchard, and Mr. Paul Urbiel. I hope I haven't missed anybody.
Nope.
And Ms. Traxler, would you like to introduce Mr. Urbiel?
I'm sure. I trust that everyone received our communication last month that Doug Plachinsky took a position in Virginia, which is on the Eastern Seaboard, where his youngest daughter just started school in Boston and his mother lives an hour away. We are very sad to see Doug go, and we'll miss him very much. Of course, he can't help but contact me maybe once a week to see how things are going and make sure that he's still missed, which I assure him he is. So, it was definitely a loss for us. However, we have hired Paul, who, if you reviewed his resume, you could see that he has impeccable credentials, and we're really pleased to have him on board. And I immediately plugged him into Fraser, knowing that it would be a good fit, and also that you all are so important to us, and we want to make sure that we have the right team here. So Paul, if you just want to say a couple words about yourself. I didn't mean to go on for so long.
It's quite all right. Thanks for that. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to work with you. I come to McKenna from a 15-year career of practicing in the nonprofit and private sector for public clients. So similar situation to the one I'm coming into now. And I'm just looking forward to working with you all. I'm excited to be a part of it. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Andrews, would you like to introduce Mr. Church?
Sure. He joined us a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. I had the good fortune to be on the interviewing committee when he was interviewed for a job with our firm not very long ago. And I was very impressed and very excited to recommend that we hire him. And there were others in the office that were actually unanimously, the people that interviewed him all agreed that he would be a great hire. He took the bar exam this summer. He had the bad fortune of being the first group that ever had to take a virtual bar exam, which was probably dreadful. I know that when I took the bar exam a long, long time ago, I was the first group that took the multi-state as half of the bar exam. Well, because of the COVID situation, they didn't do a multi-state exam in Michigan this year. Everything was essays. So anyway, I'm looking forward to him passing the bar. Usually the bar results are out around late around Halloween or right around early November. And we're happy to have him on board. And you guys have met and talked to Alyssa before, and we're very happy to have her on board as well. And you can congratulate Alyssa on having become engaged over the weekend, which was a pretty exciting thing. But anyway, we're happy to have these two people be part of our team, and at this stage of the game, they are mainly observing, and because that's one of the ways you learn. But I am hopeful in the future that they will be able to take some meetings as well. So welcome, Dylan.
Welcome to the meeting tonight, Mr. Church, and congratulations, Ms. Albright.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I see that Commissioner Perry has joined us. I think probably the record should reflect he joined us about 7:10 p.m. I think. Okay. All right, we will go to agenda item number 5, the approval of the minutes, August 17, 2020. Were there any comments or revisions to the minutes as presented? Okay, I do have a couple of revisions I'd like to see happen. On the motions for both preliminary site plan approvals, so that would be for the AutoZone, it would be preliminary site plan 20-004 AutoZone and preliminary site plan 20-005 Meyer site plan. I would like both of those motions to enumerate the conditions. So AutoZone would have 3 conditions and the Meyer site plan would have 1 condition, but I would like to have them numbered. Any discussion on my revisions?
No, it's fine.
No? And no other comments? I'll entertain a motion to have the minutes approved as amended.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the August 17th meeting with the amendments made.
Okay, and support for that motion, please.
I'll support.
Okay, that was Commissioner Cook, I believe. So it's moved by Commissioner Kyle and support by Commissioner Cook to approve the August 17, 2020 minutes as revised. Can you please do a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Kyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Chair Zarnecki.
Yes.
Commissioner Barr.
Yes.
Commissioner Perry.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 6, public hearings, we have none. So we move to agenda item number 7, new business. A, zoning ordinance amendment article 12, section 32-170, subparagraph B4, to allow drive-through service for fast food restaurants that are not in a freestanding building, and introduce the draft amendment for consideration. Ms. Traxler?
Yes. Thank you, Chair Zarnecki. As I presented in the memorandum that was included in your packets, back in 2019 and possibly even late 2018, the Planning Commission was presented with a couple of proposals for outlot type development, specifically on Utica Road, in the Meyer kind of open space and parking lot area, and then of course at Hockeyland in the outlot, both of which contained proposed drive-through businesses, restaurants specifically, in multi-tenant buildings. It was at that time that we recognized that the Fraser ordinance requires that drive-through restaurants, or rather doesn't provide for drive-through restaurants to not be located in a freestanding building. So at that time, we were also considering, fairly discrete set of revisions to your commercial parking ordinance. You might recall that we created language to allow for modification of the parking minimums in commercial districts specifically, and also industrial, I believe, if a petitioner could satisfy certain requirements and present a case that aligned with the evaluation criteria that we created. fast forward until last month, and I was doing some checking in the ordinance and started to suspect that the freestanding requirement for fast food drive-thrus hadn't in fact been adopted. The amendment hadn't been adopted by City Council. At which time I collaborated with Clark and Don and the city clerk, and we actually realized that we never put it in front of the Planning Commission for whatever reason. I truly wish I could get in my time machine and kind of reconstruct this, but it just has escaped all of our memories. And so we would like to ask you to reconsider this proposed zoning ordinance amendment. We are certain that you never held your state required public hearing. And since as much time has passed as has passed, it might even be that we would recommend conducting that public hearing again, since it had never been moved into City Council, onto City Council's plate regardless. So tonight, you have in front of you on the slide the proposed language that we would like to have you consider at a future public hearing. Based on the way that the meetings are lining up, it actually makes sense for it to take place during your November Planning Commission meeting, for me to get it in the newspaper with the requisite amount of time. I also realized earlier today that the version of the amendment that we placed in your packets last week is missing the proposed strike through of the word freestanding from section 30 to 170 subsection B3. So that is just to make sure that the provisions that are specific to fast food restaurants are consistent and that none of them refer to a requirement that they be cited in a freestanding building. So since I realized that, I wanted to include it in the presentation for this evening, assuming that you are willing to take the steps to move this forward. We would get this added to the specific ordinance language that you would be considering during a future public hearing.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Traxler. Are there any questions of Ms. Traxler or comments? I have none. Okay, were there any comments forwarded to City Hall? Ms. Traxler, do you know?
Nope, I didn't receive any input on tonight's meeting. Since there wasn't a published public hearing, someone would have, had to have looked at the website and, kind of gone through the packet itself. Once you do your public hearing, the notice will go in the newspaper and we may receive comments at that time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. If everybody is okay with this, I will entertain a motion to set a public hearing for November 4 for this item, zoning ordinance change.
I will make the motion, hopefully I say it right, to move the amendment from Article 1232-170 subparagraph B3 and B4 for a public hearing in our November meeting.
November, let's designate November 4, 2020.
November 4th meeting.
Okay. Do I have support for that meeting, for that motion, please?
I'll support.
Thank you. Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Kyle and support by Commissioner Perry to set a public hearing for the zoning ordinance amendment Article 12, Section 32-170. Any discussion on the motion? If none, Ms. Traxler, would you do a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Perry.
Yes.
Chair Zarnecki.
Yes.
Commissioner Barr.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's everyone.
Motion carried unanimously. Thank you.
Great.
Okay.
We will get that back in front of you in November in your packet.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 8 is unfinished business, City of Fraser master plan. Is that going to be Ms. Traxler or Ms. Bouchard? Or both?
We are going to tag team this. I will just briefly mention that Danielle will be providing a top level summary of our notes, which we shared in your packets for our internal strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats exercise that we did on some key locations in the city. That Daniel will present. And then I've copied this slide again to the end of the presentation, and we'll talk about next steps on the master plan at that time.
Okay.
So Danielle, I'll advance the slides if you want to tell me when to move on to the next one.
Sure. So as Sarah alluded to, this presentation is just kind of a brief overview of staff's findings when we conducted a SWOT analysis for the city, and then we kind of homed in on some different community node areas in the central business district. Again, SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. These are kind of the attributes and environmental factors that are both helpful and harmful to the city as we kind of plan for the next 20 years in this master plan process. Keep in note that a lot of these findings are going to be used as to kind of help build the future land use plan and the implementation recommendations for the rest of the plan. That in conjunction with the survey findings and input from you folks and input from the council and interested parties. So we have a couple analysis areas. First, we did kind of a citywide analysis. Then we moved into 15 Mile Road in Utica, 13 Mile in Groesbeck, and then the Central Business District. I'm just going to kind of touch on a couple highlights on these next couple slides. So if anyone has any questions, of course, feel free to jump out. So in addition to conducting an analysis at the city level, we also looked further into important community nodes. These nodes are kind of selected for reasons as they're important gateways into the city. They have unique characteristics that hold their own place in the city for different reasons. Some of the strengths that we have identified for the city include stable neighborhoods with successful industrial businesses, which make it the city both a great place to live and to work. The city's commitment to the sidewalk network and tree-lined streets is also a great asset when planning for different multi-modes of transportation and just overall aesthetic quality in the city. Residents also have generally easy access to essential businesses and services such as grocery stores, parks, other amenities, municipal buildings, medical offices, that kind of thing. Some of the weaknesses that we've kind of identified on a citywide basis is that the city in general is a very automobile-oriented municipality. According to SEMCOG, many of the city's main roads have low PASER ratings, which is kind of indicative of lower road quality. And then much of the city is already built out, which doesn't leave a ton of room for new development on vacant lots. So majority of, or a lot of new development would kind of have to come in the form of redevelopment opportunities for perhaps vacant or obsolete properties or outlot development. For 15 Mile Road in Utica, some of the strengths, again, as you guys will see that this is a common theme throughout, is a stable neighborhoods and mixed housing types. You can find senior housing, larger lot residential to the south of Meyer area, smaller lot residential, multifamily, great access to essential businesses, sidewalk network, and something else important to note is the Smart Bus Route 780 runs along 15 Mile. Some of the things that we have identified as kind of key points when looking at these community nodes are, roads, surrounding development, vacancies, commercial vacancies, industrial vacancies, public transportation availability, sidewalks, utility infrastructure, and that kind of thing. Some of the opportunities, non-motorized connections, because this kind of lies on the city boundary, that there are great gateway opportunities here because that's a frequently used community node in the area. Some of the threats here might be high speed and high volume intersection, wide 5-lane roadways that kind of make it unsafe for bicyclists or pedestrians. For 13 Mile and Groesbeck, once again, a strength, we've identified the stable neighborhoods, Eisenhower Elementary, sidewalks, public transit along 13 Mile, some weaknesses. The 13 Mile has a poor condition according to SEMCOG's PASER ratings. There's no bike infrastructure, heavy traffic congestion, especially when you're headed towards the highway. And there's no fixed transit route along Groesbeck or Utica. Some opportunities that we've identified for 13 Mile and Groesbeck. There could possibly be some joint planning efforts with the city of Roseville to the south. Outlets available for redevelopment, as that has already kind of started in that area a little bit. Wide 5-lane roads also leaves room for certain types of enhancements like bike lanes. Some of those threats, though, that kind of contradict those, you have some aging industrial buildings, automobile-oriented streets, high traffic counts, and a high crash intersection there at that where that X kind of meets. And then lastly, we looked at the CBD, which will kind of, the master plan will sort of focus on this area quite a bit more because we do know that it is a big goal of the cities to really enhance and beef up this area. Some of the strengths here that there are no physical pedestrian barriers to accessing those businesses. Many existing buildings have no setbacks. There are a couple anchors here that are, have historic significance that kind of makes this area unique and, attractive for people. Some of the weaknesses that have been identified is that the DDA has recently, or I guess I don't know how recent, the DDA is defunct. There's little publicly owned parking. Most of those are privately owned lots that there would have to be some agreements entered there for a future central business district. No bike racks, but of course that could be something that's fairly easily mitigated. Some of the redevelopment are some of the opportunities for the CBD that we've kind of just honed in and listed quite a few redevelopment opportunities. So that could be leave room for some really cool development, especially utilizing those AARP principles that we had talked about in the existing conditions analysis. Some of the threats to those opportunities could possibly be parking lot maintenance, automobile-oriented uses that are currently existing, lighting, overhead utility lines, etc. I think that concludes the SWOT analysis, if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Bouchard. Do you have any comments or questions of Ms. Bouchard? Will we be going over this a little bit more thoroughly in another meeting, Ms. Bouchard, or?
The SWOT analysis results?
Right. Is that incorporated in the master plan or is it separate from the master plan?
So a lot of those will be incorporated in the master plan. And like I kind of mentioned before, that a lot of this will sort of follow into the future land use plan and recommendations and implementation measures. Okay. So all of this is kind of going to be packaged and bundled together to, be funneled into action items.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So building off of what Danielle just mentioned and sort of, I think, serving as a nice transition from Chair Zarnecki's question about, I think, okay, so you presented us with your notes and kind of your findings. So what, what's the point of this exercise? While we have the survey that's kind of open and able to be accessed by city residents, we wanted to make sure that we were still, kind of making progress on at least thinking towards the future land use and implementation and action plan sections. Based on the packet that you received last week, you can see that much of our documentation of existing conditions and sort of saying what's on the ground right now and laying the framework for the future section of the master plan is complete. So as we move into writing, what should be done over the next couple of decades in the city, we wanted to share with you our thinking in sort of a draft format, so that if you had items to add to these areas, or just generally, comments for the city, of course, we're still kind of taking ideas and brainstorms that you have. So you could kind of think of these notes and the beginning of the implementation section that we've included, which shows objectives under each of the goals with implementation measures in the draft document that you received, as kind of the beginning of us building that picture of what the city could be working on over the next couple of decades. What we're going to do with the survey results is use them to validate or invalidate the work that we have already done in the analysis that we've been performing. And then also to add to action plan if there are ideas or suggestions that somehow rise to the surface from that effort. And then importantly, I think, to prioritize our recommendations. So it's actually, I think, kind of neat to be releasing the survey when we're at this point in the process rather than in the beginning, because we've done thinking about what typical recommendations would be. Now we can see where the public's thinking is, and really refine that and present it to you, kind of in a more comprehensive package. So we'll get back to the survey in just one second, but sort of building out the rest of that concept in terms of the document itself. Danielle and I are working in haste to get you a complete draft in November. So we're shooting for the first meeting in November, but may ask your permission for the second based on kind of where our graphic design team is and how quickly we can incorporate the results from the survey once that's complete. So over the next handful of months, when you're receiving drafts of the document, which we're certain, despite our best efforts, will likely have typos or then rather than, or something of that nature. When you find things, please send them our way, comments and revisions. And I wondered if you had any questions about the process. In November, when we deliver the draft, we'll be giving you a recommended process to digest and consider and move on the entire draft document. Chair Kathy and I were talking earlier today, just kind of rather than leave it open-ended and ask you to tell us how you would like to adopt a plan. We've done this dozens, hundreds of times, over our firm's history, and know the steps that we should take with the Planning Commission to kind of get through the material. So by feeding you portions of it, we're hoping that you'll kind of be reading along and sending comments our way. But pretty soon here, you'll have the final draft, and we'll take comments on it at that point too. So are there any questions on process that you might have?
So the final draft comes in November.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, do we set up public hearings? Can you go through the public hearing
Sure.
process?
Yep. So I anticipate maybe spending 1 or 2 meetings, depending on kind of the way the meetings are lining up, and if you have a lot of other action items, just walking through the plan. So instead of presenting notes on like a future land use exercise like we did today, I think we're going to build a presentation of the plan to present to you in a PowerPoint format. And it'll kind of follow the table of contents, and it might take us a couple of meetings to get through it. We will give you a due date if you'll accept homework from us on when we would like your revisions by. If you individually have revisions to provide to us, Anything that is substantive, in other words, you know, kind of has a bearing on a policy recommendation, we would put all of those individual substantive recommendations or comments together and bring back our revisions and kind of a punch list of questions that we would like you all to consider as a group, rather than one person kind of directing a revision, for example. At that time, when we feel like there's, you know, just a handful, a similar analogy might be when you're approving a site plan and just have a handful of conditions with which you're approving it. Once we have a manageable list of, you know, kind of final revisions to make, at that point, the Planning Commission can recommend that the City Council distribute the plan per the Planning Enabling Act's requirements. And that is to send it to SEMCOG, SMART, all of your neighboring jurisdictions, the county. We will send it to Watershed Council. We'll send it to the utilities. I can't remember if I mentioned them. So I'll give you a list of the entities to whom are required to send it. And those entities are given 63 days to provide comment on your master plan. And those comments typically take the shape of a community sending a letter back and saying, we have reviewed your plan and found it not inconsistent with our plans and policies. So you might remember that Doug presented you with a letter, a brief summary on Warren's proposed master plan. After that, he wrote a letter. I think Chair Kathy or Secretary, I can't remember, signed the letter and shipped it off to Warren. So you're basically asking your neighbors, because it's required by state, to see if they have any comments. The county will review it, they'll send a letter back. And if anyone has any recommendations that we think are really worth looking into, we'll bring back all of that feedback to you and talk about what revisions might be made based on the feedback. Typically, it's a small list of items, because the way that Michigan is organized, local units of government have very clear authority for land use and planning. So there's a very deferential stance towards local units like Fraser. So at that time, we could ask, we would summarize the input that was received, and you could call for the required public hearing. After the public hearing, even during the same meeting, you may adopt the master plan by resolution. So, I'll prepare a resolution for you, and then we'll send it to City Council and see if they are ready to adopt it by resolution as well. So both bodies will adopt the master plan.
Okay, both bodies. So Planning Commission will adopt it, and then, so it's not Planning Commission making a recommendation.
That's right.
Adopts and City Council adopts also.
Yep, you both have resolutions of adoption. It's kind of a funny, I think it's a little bit of a peculiarity, and I know that other planners and likely attorneys do as well. So the Planning Enabling Act allows for legislative bodies to assert their interest in adopting a plan. For the most part, it's just assumed that the legislative body is going to be doing that. And that's the way that we've proceeded in Fraser the whole time. Even if a legislative body isn't going to adopt the master plan, they are still required by the state law to authorize its distribution to all of those entities that I described earlier. So they're always going to be involved in some way, shape, or form. We actually find that it engenders better buy-in to the plan if City Council or Township Board or Village Council understands that it's their document too, and that it's their guiding land use policy. It's the basis for zoning. So we just kind of, as a matter of course, say that we recommend the legislative body also adopt it. So the question that always comes after you say yes, you both adopt it is, well, what if we adopt it and then City Council doesn't? So, I know during trainings, there'll be, some kind of funny war stories. It's happened to me once where a planning commission adopted it and a village council, had some suggestions in terms of changes in not even land use, but some of the goals and objectives, I think, that they wanted to see. So that's why it's really important to get city councils buy-in when they're distributing it. So when we ask them to distribute the plan, we will give a full presentation of the plan and make sure that they're really confident in the direction that it's heading. So if for some reason they didn't adopt it, then we would bring their comments back to Planning Commission and ask you if you would reconsider the plan, reconsider incorporating their comments, assuming they're prudent, and then send it back their way.
Okay, thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
we're looking probably not for, if everything goes smoothly in adoption, maybe in February, March, April.
Yeah, I would say it would, by the way that meetings typically line up, you never know where you're going to catch the public hearing notice or the 63 days to get it into packet. So I would say probably April, realistically.
Okay.
Because we could present the plan to City Council in December if they were able to, get us on their agenda, or January rather, assuming that we want to have Planning Commission consider it at a couple of meetings. And then we would send it out for 63 days in January, which would put us to March. And then you could have your public hearing in April.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions or comments, commissioners?
I just have one. On the page note strategies and follow-up items, it mentions about the golf course. Is there any talk that might happen, or is it just on there?
Yep, nope. I haven't heard anything. I know that early on, I think when I was introduced to Fraser, it just really sticks out from a development site perspective. So if something were to happen, that would be a very large area that could be redeveloped for another use. So we want to make sure that we're not sort of only thinking that in perpetuity that would be a golf course, but rather coming up with some type of preferred development scenario if and when the ownership changes or the intention changes on the site.
Can I ask one more question?
Please do.
I was going by the other day on Utica Road. We approved the apartment building. Does anybody know if anything's happening with that? Is any talk, or is it just still up just for sale?
I have been wondering about that as well. That was
stakes out there that weren't there before. That's one of the reasons I'm asking.
What were out there? Signs?
No, stakes.
Oh, okay. I will check into that.
Okay.
I don't remember what meeting it was, but isn't it just good for a year when we make things like that?
Yes, except that the performance is based on whether permits are pulled. So Hockeyland will be coming back to you within the next couple of months, for example, because their approvals expired and they hadn't pulled any permits. So it could be that the Utica Road Apartments had pulled a permit and are just starting to perform on that permit, and permits are good for a year.
And the last thing, I did find when I read it a couple changes that should be made.
Okay.
Pretty much the street. Should I send them to you or to Danielle, or does it matter?
Either one or both of us is great. We are in very frequent contact.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ms. Traxler, have you heard anything about the iconic bank building, the PNC building at Utica and 14?
No, is there a word on the street, or do you just mean in general?
No, I was just curious. It's such
Okay.
a neat building. I would like to see something go in there.
Sure.
Well, I asked my wife if we could buy it and make it into a restaurant, but she shot me down real quick. That's not going to happen.
I'd like to see it something like a Rusty Belt. If you ever go into Ferndale, they had that Rusty Belt with little boutiques inside. I thought that would be unique.
I think it'd be a great restaurant.
Yes, that's true.
Both. We need lots of activation, you know, multiple points of interest, not just one thing.
Yes. So Ms. Trexler, can you give us a update on the survey?
Yes.
Thank you.
So as of today, we have 223 responses to the online survey. And you received, you know, kind of the scanned version of it in your packets. You received our publicity program, which we're, you know, marching through with the city. We've just run into a couple of digital snafus in terms of placement of the survey on the city's homepage, and making sure it's sort of in a prominent place there. But it's scheduled to close on October 1st. And since we're the ones who are administering it, we are able and probably apt to extend that by, I would say, about a week. And that would still give Danielle and I time to be synthesizing the results and making sure that they're appropriately integrated into the complete draft that we'll be sharing with you. So the city's Facebook page promoted it. Chelsea with the city is going to be creating a slide to put on the cable when they're kind of cycling through those messages on the public access channel. And we are printing out hard copies to place at the building department counter in case someone doesn't have the online access and found that the survey was available on the cable channel as it was rotating through. Also, if anyone has any friends or neighbors who wanted a hard copy, they could come into the building department, fill it out there, and then return it there. And Jennifer and Bob will give me the copy and we'll get it entered into the online system. So I think we're going to go ahead and extend it until October 8th and promote it widely again. And I am very hopeful and don't think it's unrealistic to think that we can get in the neighborhood of 500 responses.
Okay, thank you. Have any of the members seen the survey or done the survey, completed the survey?
I've seen it, but I have not done it, no.
Okay, I'm not a social media person, so I was looking on the website. So anybody out there in the audience who's listening, if you go onto the city's website, the survey, you can find the survey, a link to the survey under the building department. And it's lower on the page of the building department. So if you go click into the building department and scan down, you will find the link to the survey. I thought it was a little bit hidden. I thought it would be popping out at me, but it's very simple. I did do the survey. It's very, very simple and easy. Any other questions or comments? Well,
Chair,
okay, go ahead, Mr. Andrews.
I went through the proposed draft that Sarah distributed to everybody last week and made some comments, which I scanned and forwarded to her this morning.
Okay.
So some of them were clerical types of things. Some of them were more substantive. And so I'm sure she'll review them and decide which ones were worthwhile and which ones were not, and we'll talk about them. But I wanted to let you know that I had gone through the entire draft over the weekend.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrews.
And just for everyone's benefit, I think, we're getting to a point with having, presented a decent amount of the text to you where we'll start tracking our changes in the document so that when you get future versions, you can see what we have changed rather than just, you shouldn't have to compare one document to another, version 1 to version 2. So that's how we'll start providing you with the info since we're starting to get feedback.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I assume you have no public comments to date on this master plan. I don't see anybody in the audience to speak.
That's right.
Either.
Nope.
All right, we'll go forward to agenda item number 9, public communications on non-agenda items, which are none. And we have agenda 10, zoning board of appeals member liaison report, and Commissioner Farina is not present. So let's put that on our next agenda then.
I will note, if you don't mind, Chair Zarnecki, that the September ZBA meeting was canceled due to lack of agenda items. And just today, I canceled the October meeting again due to lack of agenda items.
Okay, thank you. So there is no report. So thank you.
That's right. You're welcome.
All right. Agenda item 11, commissioners' comments and items of interest and concern. So let's go to Commissioner Barr.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
Yes, Commissioner Barr, we're looking for any comments. If you have any comments or items of interest you want to share with the members.
No, not at this.
Okay.
It has been going very well. I'm taking notes. So, but nothing to add at this time.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Perry?
No, none at this time.
Okay, Commissioner Kyle?
I just look forward to when we can all meet again down at City Hall. Besides that, none.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cook?
Welcome all new people. I don't recall everybody's name because I can't see them. And I'm looking forward to all of us getting together. Sooner the better. And that's it. Everybody have a good night.
Well, thank you. I do want to officially say thank you to Doug Plazinski, give him our best wishes, and it was a pleasure working with Doug. So hopefully he's listening, and if not, maybe someday we'll be able to share our best wishes to him personally. Mr. Clark, Mr. Andrews, do you have any?
I just have one quick item. I wanted you to know that after lots and lots of consternation, it looks like the Meyer site on the Outlook thing is closed. I think we spent a lot of time trying to make sure all the easements were done properly, and we got a sign off from Mike Vigneron from AEW as well as from me. And about a week or 10 days ago, I think everything was finalized and ready to close, and I think it has closed. The two parcels that were made up a shopping center. One of them, I think, was a Taco Bell, and anyway, those two parcels have been split off from the main Meyer site, and they are now independent sites, and there are easements to make sure that they can share driveways and get back and forth across one another without problems. So I know that the Planning Commission has followed that site for seemingly forever, and I thought you'd be interested in knowing that it's finally come to fruition.
That's great news. Thank you, Mr. Andrews. It looks good. I like the project.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Albright, would you have any comments?
No comments tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Bouchard, do you have any comments?
Not at this time, thanks.
Okay. And Ms. Traxler, do you have any comments for us?
He's muted.
Oh my, I'm sorry. I, made it 95% through the meeting and then had a meltdown. Okay, I don't. But thanks for having us. And I don't think I mentioned that Paul and I will be together at your meetings at least probably through the end of the year. So, we're just going for that continuity, and we'll be having a fun time.
Thank you. And Mr. Arville, do you have any comments?
No comments other than to say thanks for the welcome and look forward to working with you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And Mr. Church, any comments from you?
No comments. Thank you for letting me join and listen in.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn the September 21st Planning Commission meeting.
And do I have support for that motion?
I support.
So-
Thank you. Okay. And it's been moved by Commissioner Kyle and support by Commissioner Bard to adjourn the meeting. Or is there any discussion on that motion? If not, I'll just say everybody say yay or nay and go forward. Everybody in agreement to adjourning?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yay. Any nays? Okay, we are adjourned. It is, I think it is by 7:57 p.m., I think.
Yep.
Okay. Have a good night, everyone, and stay safe.
Good night.
Thank you,
Everybody
everyone.
did.
Bye.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
Right.
Have a good night.
Thank you.